So last week, January 11, demos, then we talked about Fluid and Parlot. Topics 1.2 release. We also shipped 1.2.1 release, which was a security patch release. Then today, 1.18.2022, demos. In's not here, Zoltan is not here. The demos are not here. I don't think I did anything interesting. Well, today. It's 1.2.2. 1.2.2 is, which is security patch again, like last week. Pre-release in 2 weeks. Awesome. 1.2.0, 1.2.1, 1.2.2. And issues are related, but not the same exactly. So I looked at it in the repo, but 1.2.2 has been shipped on the 1.3/1.2 branch, and there's the tag, and it has been merged to main. So either updating to the main branch or installing the 1.2.2 version will fix all the issues. Let's look at the status. Multiple one. Multiple changes, I assume, yeah, because there was a trailer on Thursday. We focused a lot on Multiple one, all the changes that Matteo and Hermes are pushing or already pushed. So what do they have here on the dev branch? Merge 110x into dev. So all the changes from 110x are now available in dev branch. Abstracted account validation, such that anyone can provide custom user validation, and they also implemented that in many ways as the capability to set a user to forcibly change its own password at NetsLogon. So you can force a user to change the password, not reuse and last passwords. iPassword service. These are all the changes, commits, but these are the main things here. So that's interesting. Something maybe we want also in Launcher Core, all these options to manage user accounts. This one, GetPhysicalPath, return error if URL contains that, so fix. And there are more branches to come this week, like updating and Hibernate, updating Bootstrap and jQuery, all these things in the dev branch. So that's Orchard 1, Orchard Core. I will just focus on the main branch because it also contains the release branch. So what do we have? January 11. Did I not click there? Nope. January 11. These were the security patches. Then Antoine, type point from metadata that we saw when we were reviewing the PR. Easy MDE 216. Markdown editor. Update. Update readme. Oh no, Ultimate. It's not Ultimate, I think it's a company. Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. Updated the readme 2. Oh, the liquid readme 2.2 where you file issues. If you find issues in liquid, it's probably in Fluid. And yes, I think there was an issue I fixed. Okay, let's look at that. Fixing that PDF indexing failed with Azure Blob Storage. So fixed by Zoltan. So this one now is now async because the issue is that the stream written by Azure is not seekable, and PDF pig, which parses the PDF text, needs the stream to be seekable. So the fix here is to buffer the Azure stream and to return a buffered stream using a memory stream, which is seekable. That's the fix. Upgrade to 14. I will check what's new. I think there was bug fix. All free release 2.14. We were in 2.13 before, so fix no reference exception when you create main value and string values, but not in Orchard. Oh, this one might be interesting. Display source of error message. So the idea is that when now there is a parse error, it will tell you like line 2 colon 20, but it will also show the line with the error. And this way, it's easier to understand where the issue is. And if you have multiple templates, for instance, then you don't have to guess what template contains the error. You can see the error directly. So that might be super useful. Allow Fruit parser options to be configured using Fruit and the Azure engine. So this is useful for Orchard. Because the Fruit parser option. No, this is the MDCV engine, which we don't use. We use directly plugged custom views, not the MDCV engine. Fixed, so that's README update. Keyword conflicts. Okay, someone found an issue in Orchard, but it was in Fruit. The issue was that. Let's point to the issue directly. It was in Orchard. Wait. Must be referenced there. Okay. I thought I had referenced that. So the issue, if I look at the changes here, the test, is that if you have a variable that is named empty and something, the parser will find that, oh, you mean the empty keyword, and will fail saying, what is this thing? I found the empty keyword. There should not be a thing after that. And it's the same for blank, true, false. So if you have variables starting with empty, well, you could not have variables starting with empty, blank, true, false. And this is what this PR is fixing now. See? What you see, trust me, that's what it's fixing. That static expressions for keywords, just optimization, fix layout discovery. This is for the MDCV engine. We don't use Orchard, and implement offset. Oh, that's a feature actually that I discovered. Well, someone filed an issue saying, hey, you should implement that. I know it was a thing. So the thing is, so two things I fixed in this PR. First, you can assign a range directly to variable with this version. Before you could not. I know you could do that. So now you can do that. You can assign a range directly to variable. Second is you see 4 items in array limit 3. So that's standard and that was working. What was not working is that you can do offset with the keyword continue. So in this case, continue is a keyword, and what happens is that it will do another loop starting from where the previous loop stopped. So here, if you say limit 3, it will start on the 4th item. And you can also pass another limit if you want. So here, the idea is that we loop for 3 items in the array, display the item, then we loop again for the rest and display all the items, maybe with a different pattern. And the goal is to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that didn't exist before this PR. I didn't know it was a feature actually. And it's not even implemented also in JS, Liquid.js. So I find an issue there too. So this is what this PR is doing. Nice test. You see, you can do offset and limits. That's cool. And it's based on the name here. So if you have in range like this, it won't work. Continue doesn't work. It will start again. It's based on the name of the variable that you pass here to keep the same. So you can call continue multiple times if you want. That's cool. So that's a new feature. Good. Going back there. nkdocs update. And then merging the.
Sorry.
Yep.
About the previous one. Hello. The loop index is following the same.
I'm
logic.
afraid you find an issue. I hope you didn't find an issue. What?
No, I'm just asking.
Okay, so can you repeat your comment or your question?
The loop index with the continue command.
I think it's a new index. That's a very good question. I'd say it's a very good question. I have no idea. So I know that in Fluid it will do a new index for sure, because I remember how it's implemented. It was fresh. So
okay, we can check.
No. Well, the start index here is updated, and everything is there. Let me check. Where is start index used? Where is the start index used? Yes. Oh no, it will start with the index. Yes. So the start index is updated, and I in this case is the start index. So the for loop properties will match the index of the new loop. So they will. Yeah, I think that's correct, because this way you have the actual index of the item that you're looking at. I think which is great.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Oh, and first in this case, that's a very good question, because that's ambiguous. What does first mean? First in this case will mean the first item of the new loop, not the list. I think that's correct. But I'm wondering, because I didn't see any test about that in the liquid source code of Shopify. I don't think there was anything like this. There was just a simple test for continue. So that's a good question. I should add some tests to at least pin the behavior. But yeah, all these things, they match the second loop. That's good, I think. That was the question, right?
Yeah. That was the question. Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it.
I think first and last should be as it is, and the index seems right. Yeah.
Oh no, in this case, so first and last will. I think that's wrong. I would say that's wrong, because here it says the first item is only if the index is the 0. But because it's the second loop, it will start at 3. So maybe first should be equal start index and not 0, I believe. And maybe there is another bug, which is here the start index is when you do offset 2. Let's say you do offset 2, that will be I equals 2. Okay, but then first should be when it's equal to 2, like I'm the first element to be rendered from the loop, or I'm the first element in the collection. So it's always saying I'm the first element of the collection, but not of the loop. I think it should be of the loop, because if I want the collection, I can just check index equals 0.
Yeah.
Or 1, or index 0 equals 0. So this, I think, is wrong even before this PR for limits. So yeah. Okay. I will find an issue, because that's ambiguous, and I think there is a problem. How do I find issue? it should be the same for continue and a custom object, which is the first item you render is the first. So that, and it means there is an issue right now. Okay, thank you. Come back there. Yeah. Any other question? Okay. So Thierry, today you are just an S for me. Very good.
I cannot sign in with
that's okay.
Work out into Teams. I don't know why.
Okay, and then the last commit on the main branch is the security fix here, fix localization and sanitization usages. So I will go over the changes just for educating everyone about what to do and what not to do and what these fixes are about. There are 2 or 3 main issues / usages. Some of them are not issues. I just polished the code because it was ambiguous and it was not clear. So this one first, content field. Should I go with PR? I will go with PR. See, 216. Oh crap, we made a mistake. Let's read another one. This one. Changes. So changes here. So link field display driver. So the link field, you can provide a URL. And here the idea is that the URL is now sanitized. So before this change, you could pass some JavaScript in the URL. So with that, what we're doing is checking that once it is sanitized, the link that will generate, or a link that contains the URL, then it contains the same thing, which means it doesn't contain any JavaScript. So just absolute URLs or URL starting with ~/. That's the first thing. This issue is also on, you will see later, in the menu item link field and probably also in the HTML menu item link field. So everywhere that we pass them. Okay. Then audit trail content controller.cs. This one is not an issue, but I fixed it to be consistent with all the other fixes. So error messages can't have HTML, and the issue is that notifier warning async is asking for a localized HTML string. Why is it asking for a localized HTML string? It's because warning async expects a localized string using h of something, okay, something like that. But so you see, parameter was not restored. So that's why warning async is expecting as a pattern you use a localizer. But in this case, the goal was to render error message as a notification. But error message is a string. So the developer decided to wrap localize it, might be me. So whoever the developer is might decided to wrap the localization, the string into a localization string, so it passes there. But by doing that, we say that, oh, this is a safe string. This is already encoded, so it can be used in a view. This is what this thing does. Actually, this thing will return, it's a static string. So it's safe because the source is not the user. The source is the code. And that is from the user, but it's encoded because it's an argument. Okay, this thing is a string that will be encoded. So everything here is safe. So it can be passed as a localization string. This one, we are lucky that error message is safe because internally it's a static string. But we don't do that because it could be like that some other developers will copy this code without understanding that this is safe, it can be passed there, but if it's not safe, you should not pass it as a localization string, because this will prevent notifier from encoding the result. This one can not be encoded. This one should be encoded, so we should not call that. So the fix I provided here is, I didn't want to break anyone who localize our message, so I just said localization string. this key we don't, the first value we don't care, it's just a key, okay, an identifier. But the second value is the thing to translate or to encode. In this case, I'm seeing first argument, and your message is passed as the argument. And because it's passed as the argument, it will be encoded. So this is how we pass a localization string to an identifier from an unknown string safely. We can just pass it as an argument. Now, there was a comment from Dean about that, which is why not just pass iHTML string? And that's a valid point because localized HTML string implements iHTML content. In .NET Core, it's iHTML content. iHTML string is from .NET without core. So running async could accept iHTML string instead of localized HTML string. So maybe it would have been more obvious not to use this class. It would have been the same issue because people could have done new HTML string or HTML.raw. But at least I would say localized HTML string, it shows people that they can use something like that, a localized string also directly. So that might be a reason to still use localized HTML string because that was the intent. But technically, we could accept HTML content. It will not be less secure. We still need to understand what we pass. That has to be encoded. It will just have made this change here simpler because I could have said new HTML string or HTML.raw, HTML.encode, and not new localized HTML string using a formatter here. So this is a refactoring. There was no issue there, but this is an issue in some other places that you will see. So this one is to sanitize the URL. Same thing, I mentioned that earlier. This one also sanitizing the URL. So we can do that. This one is the same logic as I just showed you. Here, apparently there was not even a single reason to pass it as a localized HTML string because in the end it's some HTML. So it won't be encoded. So that's fine to pass it as a body in the localized HTML string. But I believe the developer just thought that it might allow to localize emails, but this is not the case. This hasn't localized at all. It just returns the result of a localization. And because there was no localization applied, this result will just be no up. So there is no reason to call localized string. So I just removed it, just cleaning the code to make it simpler and to make it easier to understand what's happening, which is nothing. What else? So this one, just a comment. Here, we call add async with a localized HTML string. And here we are passing it this way, and I just comment that it's fine. The message in this case is supposed to contain HTML. So it's well known that this workflow, notify task, will contain HTML. So we pass it as is, and it won't be encoded because that's the goal of this workflow task. And workflow is a feature that is marked as security sensitive, meaning it can do things that can allow user to do escalation of a privilege. So for this kind of task and other tasks like execute script, create content items, execute request, all these things that a workflow can do, can provide the user who can edit workflows to do lots of nasty things. But if you provided the permission to the user, then that's what you expect, and that's what you want. So this one is completely not safe on purpose by definition. The same way we can render HTML in some part of the system, like in templates, okay, and there is no validation at all. So this one is a task event. This one is a potential issue, which is that here, localized HTML string, you see required roles, and then this string. So if you craft some role names that are special, then you could maybe inject some code because this one, because we do new localized HTML string, will be not encoded and will be passed in this string. So that's bad. So here the solution is to say, oh, I believe that the issue is that this argument I think there is double encoding issue there. Yeah, So this one is fixed incorrectly. Now I introduced a bug. Well, there was already a bug, but now I introduced another bug. So the issue here is that this parameter will be encoded. So it's not an issue. But I was confused by the fact that there is a T here, and the two arguments need to be the same type. And because the T is returning a localization string, this one was returning also a localization string. So there was already an issue before. I didn't fix the issue. There was no issue in terms of. Oh, no, yes, there is an issue. Okay, sorry, I didn't say anything. When the argument of a translation is an HTML content, like this is the case here and there, this won't be encoded. Okay, that's good. So it accepts that. There will be no double encoding issue in this case. That's good. But there was a security issue because this was not encoded. This is encoded and it's coming from a string, so that's fine, but this is not encoded. So what I did is that I returned an explicit encoding on the string join that is wrapped in a row to say it's safe. This string is safe, and it's safe because it has been encoded. And it's the same type, the same result type, which is HTML content as this one, okay, which is also HTML content, which is also a safe string. So that's the fix. So everything is good here. No double encoding, and this thing is encoded. So it's safe now. This one, get localized status. So there are two. So there is a factoring. I just changed the name of the method. I applied the extension method on the T instead of applying it on the status. And the fix is actually inside the extension method here. Before it said, give me the translation for default title. Okay, it's returning a localized HTML string. But what it was doing, it was not returning a translation. It was just returning a localized string instance with the title, which is not encoded. And it was doing that because this view here was saying, oh, I need to display the title of the workflow based on its status. And this function was saying, if there is already a custom title, I will use title, otherwise I will use a status. That's what it's saying, I think. So in the case of a title, it says, oh, it said here, let's return the title in a localization string. And if there is no title, it was saying, let's call the extension method, and there is a switch, and here this is the localization string. Okay. So here in this case, in most cases, it's returning a correct localization string. But if there was a title, it would just return the title as a localization string, not even localized, which is fine. But it will not go through the encoding of the title because this thing says, it's okay, it's already safe, don't encode it. So that's bad. So the fix, as before, is to just say, this is a string to translate, which is nothing, just give me the argument, and I pass the title. So this one will be encoded. I could have used the same technique as here. Where is that? That's just before. Here, row of encode. But at this point, I didn't have the HTML encoder. So, and it's not a service, it's a helper extension method. So I just use this trick to use the argument here and pass the title, such that when the view gets that and calls toString, this thing will encode the title because it will find that here. And title is an argument which is not HTML string. So that will be safe. So that's the main issue of the security bug here. So two main issues, I'd say this one for the title and the URLs in the link menu items and link field that can contain JavaScript. These are the XSS cross script. What's the XSS cross scripting? Something cross site scripting. That's the idea. Questions? So when you don't know or you're not sure about how to use localized HTML string, don't use it. Or ask in the forums how to use that. That's not obvious at all. You have to think about the source of the content. Can it contain HTML? Can it not contain HTML? Then it's safe. Is it user and user input? Is it just a static text? Will it be used by a view, by not a view? Why is it asking for localization in the string? Should I use something else? Or, yeah, lots of questions. And then will it be encoded by something else later? Should I encode it myself? So that's lots of issues there to think about. Good. No questions. No questions. So we here, and I released 1.2.2 this morning. Demos, we checked. It's the topics. Yes, and that's good. So last week security patch, this week security patch. Let's see if next week we have a new security patch. The security researcher that found the two issues here maybe he's on a roll and we'll find other ones. We'll see. I hope not. If you have no questions, then this will be the end of the meeting. Then this is the end of the meeting. Thanks everyone. Thanks you, Soteris, for finding a new issue. And see you next week and on Thursday.